Glad you're back. I just wanted to say that this is going to be an exciting month because it's February and we're going to talk about water, and you can earn by watching the videos and doing some of the activities. You can earn a water drop patch from the Great Lakes Children's Museum, and that's what it looks like. It's really special. So I'm going to put that down and let's get started. Solid, liquid, and a gas. Water is so great because it can be all three. Probably not all, I'm not sure all at the same time. Hey, Tom, did you say something about you saw water all at the same time in a solid, liquid, and a gas once?
Yes, it's called a triple point. And when I was in college in chemistry class, we created a vacuum so that we could have water existing as a solid and a liquid and a gas all at the same time. It's freezing and melting and boiling. It's really crazy to see.
Wow. Well, that's kind of interesting. Well, um we're going to start out with water and what it looks like when it does those different things. So I've got, of course, a bag of ice cubes. All right, check it out. Is this water? Oh, of course it is. This is water when it's a solid. I'm going to put that back in my bag so I don't get water all over the table as it melts. And then I went outside today and I got a bunch of snow. Yep. So is this water? Of course it is. It's water, and it's a little bit fluffier than ice, but it also is a solid. Check that out. All right. So now I have I put some food coloring in my water so you can see it. So I have water in a glass. Of course, that's the water kind of that we're used to using is water, except for my water's blue right now. Yep, so we have a solid, ice cube, solid, snow, liquid, water in a glass, and the other form of water is a vapor. And sometimes we call that steam. So if you have a mirror, I want you to go put that in someplace kind of cold because we're going to do something special when we start to talk about steam. Have you seen steam and fog before? I bet you have. Yep. So if you have a mirror, go put that in your refrigerator for a minute because we're going to use it in a little while, and it works. Our experiment is going to work better if our mirror is cold. So yeah, so those are all the forms of that water, because water is matter, and matter is what everything in our whole world and universe is made up out of, and water is one. And it's really kind of cool because there's matter that's solid, like our ice cube, matter that's liquid, like a glass of water, and matter that's a gas, like a vapor in the air. So water is great because it can do all three things. So we're going to do our first experiment right now with my with liquid. We're going to start with liquid because that is kind of what we're most familiar when we start to see what water is about. We usually have a liquid. We talk about it as a liquid. So I've got a bunch of different containers. So do you guys have a bunch of different size and shape containers? I got this one right here. It's my salad dressing. I've got a great big tall one right here. I've got a smaller tube like this. What other shapes do I have? Oh, I have a shape of a container like this. I have a little teeny glass like this. What else? Oh, lots of different shapes here. So let's see, and let's experiment with water as a liquid. So I'm going to take my pitcher and pour water into my first container. That's a cylinder. Ooh, check it out. Now, a liquid, you can pour it. That's one of the things. It takes up space. It has weight. but its shape can change if you pour it into a different container. So what I want you guys to do is practice pouring your water into your different size and shape containers. Whoa, check that out. Whoa, so it's a little different there. So I'm gonna measure it this time. I'm gonna put a cup of water into my container. I'm gonna put this one back. And let's compare just a cup of water in my pitcher. What does a cup of water look like if I put it in my flat container? Can I fit the whole thing in there? Whoa! Whoa, it's right up to the top. Oh my goodness. That was a cup of water. Okay, so what does the cup of water look like if I put it in here? It's changing shape. Changing shape, changing shape, changing shape, changing shape. Because it takes on the shape. That's a whole cup. Wow. So I'm going to put another cup of water in here and let's compare what it looks like to my salad dressing container. And this is kind of fun. Let's see. Oh, let's do this one. Let's see what a cup of water looks like into this weird container. Whoa. Hope you guys are pouring some water. Yeah, water can pour. Check this out. All right, so now I'm going to hold them both up. The same amount of water. A cup in my salad dressing and a cup in my big tall shaker bottle. And just for fun, I have a rubber glove. Excuse me. I had to reach for it. Just for fun, I had a rubber glove. What kind of shape am I going to get if I pour water into my rubber glove? Let's see. Let's try it. Here we go. Now I might make a mess. Whoa. Whoa. Will a whole cup fit in there? Yes, it is. Wow. So liquids are really cool because they can pour and they take on the shape of the container you put them in. Look at that. Woo! That's kind of wiggly. Now that's rubber glove. Water in the shape of a rubber glove. So, all right, I'm going to put that back into my pitcher, I hope. Woo! So you can have fun pouring water and seeing the shapes that you can make it do. And I'm going to put my rubber glove down for a minute. And, oh, let's see. I bet, the bottom fell off my glass. I bet I can't even fit a whole cup into this little one. Let's try it. That was a cup of water. Whoa, it's not going to happen. Nope, only about a third of it. So it's very fun to watch and see what kind of shapes you can get water to take on. But of course, it's a liquid and it won't hold that shape for long because it can pour. Whoa. Speaking of pouring, if I tried to pour some snow, what would happen? Snow is water. It's a solid, it just kind of chunks. Yep. So that's kind of the difference. It's kind of fun to experiment with. All right, so I'm going to put my pitchers out of the way for a second. Okay, so the next experiment is all about water and pouring too. And this one's just a little bit more complicated. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. We're going to build a water wheel. So we can pour water all over it. It looks like this. We're going to build one of these. Oops, I lost my hole here. There we go. We're going to build one of these and we're going to pour water on it and watch water spin our water wheel. So to do this, you need 2 paper plates, some 3-ounce cups, 6 of them, a little bit of tape. I use masking tape, but I found out that when I pour water on it, it gets soggy after a while, so it won't last too long. And let's see, and of course water and tape and a barbecue skewer. See my pointy barbecue skewer? That's what it's spinning on. So this is what we're going to do. And to walk you through it a little by little, I'm going to turn my camera to the tabletop over here so you can see how to do it with me. Here we go. Okay, oops, there's my paper plate. Okay, so the first thing you do is you take your barbecue skewer and you find the middle of your paper plate, just kind of eyeball it right there, and you start poking a hole right in the middle with your barbecue skewer. Or you can do it with the edge of a scissors. There, mine went through. Mine poked through, and I'm going to go like this. And so it's through one side. And then I want a hole in my other paper plate too. And so what I'm going to do is poke a hole in that paper plate about the same spot. So I put it through and I made a mark on the other paper plate that's underneath it. And so then I'm going to poke that hole through too. That's the hard part. Just poking it through little by little. I kind of wiggle it back and forth. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And finally, because it's just paper, it'll poke through. There, it went through. Okay, so we got our hole poked. And you can spin your paper plate on there to make sure that your hole is big enough. So now we have 2 holes on 2 paper plates. All right, and here's my barbecue skewer. I'm gonna put that down for a minute. So now we're gonna take see how I have snowflakes on one side of my paper plate, and then the other side is the back side of the paper plate, and that's what we're gonna use. Now, if you just have regular unprinted paper plates, just turn it to the back side. And so now I've got a whole bunch of tape and 6 paper cups to fit around there. So I'm gonna try to put these cups in an arrangement that looks like this: 3 on one half, oops, and 3 on the other half, just like that. But we're gonna flip them like that on their side. This is the hardest part of doing this. So if you need help from an adult, you can ask for it, or you can just watch and see what happens and try to do it later if you like. So I ripped off a whole big piece of tape and I put it on my cup and I taped it to the paper plate like that. Can you see how I did that? Then I took another big roll of tape and I taped it, whoops, to my cup. Whoops. Uh-oh. Right in the middle. And I put it by the side like that. And I taped it down to the paper plate like that. There's 2. They're kind of, and you can adjust them. See how the edges are touching. The bottom edges are kind of touching. Okay, so now one more big long piece of paper. How are you guys doing with this? Is this working out for you? We're gonna do some water pouring here. Okay, so now I've got another long piece of tape on my cup, and I'm gonna match it up, whoa, to the base of that cup and tape it down. See, 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna do that with the next 3. All right, taping my cup right in the middle, matching it up to the base. That touches the bottom of the cup, touches the next bottom of the cup, and pressing that tape down so the cup stays there where I put it. Another long piece of tape. Sticking it on my cup. Oops. There we go. And then right here. Okay. Oh, I'm almost running out of room for my last cup, but not quite. This is my last cup. How are your cups doing? You almost got them? All right, so there. The last cup goes right there, right in that little space. So all the ends of my cups, the bottoms of my cups are all touching each other. Now, I decided that I wanted to reinforce this because I'm going to be pouring water all over this for a minute. So I put an extra piece of tape in between some of my cups. You can do that if you like, or You can just say, no, I don't need to. But what I did was I slid that piece of tape down in between the cups and then taped it down to the paper plate. And if you see that your tape is coming up in different places, you can do this. Put a piece of tape in between your cups to really hold it down. You might need to, but maybe not. Okay, so there we go. Oh, and you know what? If you're putting a bunch of tape in there, make sure that you don't cover up your little hole in the middle, because you need to find that to put your barbecue skewer in the middle. Okay, so almost done here, and we're gonna stick these on the barbecue skewer. You know, we got 2 paper plates. That's gonna work out pretty good. Oh, stay. There we go. Okay, so it's getting a little messy looking, I think, but it'll work. Okay, so here's my other paper plate. And I am going to take and put those 2 paper plates together like that. So here's my barbecue skewer through the first paper plate where I have all my cups taped on. I'm gonna stick it right through. See how that came up? All right, and then back of the plate. Whoops, let's make sure you can see that on the camera. And barbecue skewer for that first hole that you made. And there you go. Whoa, check it out. I can spin it. Oh, okay, but I want to make sure that stays in place. So I'm going to put a few pieces of tape on the second. Oh, we have lots of tape here. I taped a cup. Whoops, that didn't work. All right, hold on. I'm going to hold it. So I want to show you what I was trying to do. I'm holding the cup and taping it to the second paper plate. There. And I'm going to do one across the way from that one. Just to hold it in place. Come on. So there's my one right directly across. So I'm sticking a piece of tape in that cup and around that paper plate. All right, so that's pretty good. Whoops, gotta make sure you can see what I did. All right, so I'm gonna stop for a minute and check in with you guys and see what yours looks like, because we're gonna pour some water over this in a second. Woohoo! Because water as a liquid can pour. There we go. This is what it turned out to be like. Kind of like and we're gonna hold it like this, and we're gonna spin it, and we're gonna pour water on it. So did you guys come up with something like this? All right, so what are we gonna do with it? Well, you can do this after in your sink at home, but I have a bucket. So I'm gonna put my water wheel with the barbecue skewer over like that. Whoops. In the middle, and now I'm going to pour some water on it and see if I can make it spin with water as I pour the water. So let's see. Here's a good pitcher of water, and I'm going to hold this down. And you can do this right over the sink and turn on the water at the sink, and just let the water. Whoa! Do you see what's happening? The cup fills up and then spills, gets heavy and spills over, and then it spins. The water pouring is the energy to make this. Whoa, now I got it spinning the other way. How did I do that? So you can play with this in the sink by letting the water run over your cups and see, whoa, how you can spin your wheel. And it's really kind of fun, kind of spinning and playing with it. Whoops, now I got blue water all over me. So there we go. Water as a liquid can pour, and we can use that water energy. Whoops, come on. There we go. To move things. Whoa, sweet. All right, so I'm going to put this down. Wow, cool. All right, so there's our water wheel. And if you want to try that out later, or if you've got a chance to do it now, I hope you can have some fun with it. All right, so now let's see water as a gas. Does anybody know what we call water when it's in the form of a gas? Have you heard the word vapor? Vapor or steam? Yeah, so now's the time to get out that mirror that you, yeah, steam, right? And vapor, it's water that's in little tiny particles in the air. So now's the time to get out the mirror that you put in the refrigerator and get it out. And oh, as soon as I got out my mirror, look what happened. Can you see? There's a little bit of fog, steam condensed on the mirror. Check that out. Can you see that? If I hold it at a different angle. Yeah. And if I were to take just a mirror that had been sitting out in the regular air, and if I take and I breathe on that mirror, the moisture or the vapor in my breath will cause it to fog up too. You can't see that very well. There you go. Now you can see it. All right, but there it is. I have a cold mirror and the moisture in the air condensed on the mirror. So the cool thing about water as a vapor, it can be condensation, which is when the water in the air hits a colder surface and it turns back to a liquid. I could get this to drip if I really wanted to. That's condensation. Have you had like a glass with some ice cubes in it and then came back later and the outside of the glass was all wet? That's condensation. That's the vapor in the air turning back into a liquid because it cooled off, it condensed. So then there's also water turns into the vapor by evaporation. Have you heard that big word? Evaporation. So we're going to play around a little bit with some evaporation right now. So if you have a paper towel and a little plate to put it in, I'm going to change my camera back to the tabletop so you can see what I did or what we're going to do. There we go. And I have a paper towel and a little plate to catch some things. And we won't be able to see the end of our experiment right now, but if you put some water, and in this case, I'm going to use some water that I put, well, this is actually, you can do food coloring, and a little dropper. And I'm going to use some water that I had some food coloring put in and kind of make it, turn this into an art/science experiment. So what I'm doing here is I'm sucking up some colored water. I'm going to drop it on my paper towel. So what does this have to do with water as vapor? Because right now it's a liquid with a little bit of coloring in it. And here's another color that we're going to use. And I'm dropping it, or you can just pour it on. Whoa. So I'm getting my paper towel all wet. But slowly, that's where I'm going to stop. Slowly what happens is if you leave it out in the air, the liquid water with paint in it will evaporate and become vapor in the air, and your paper towel will be all dry. So that's what you're going to do, is you're going to let that sit. That's why I said you won't be able to see the end of the experiment because we're going to have to wait. Excuse me. You're going to have to wait until that dries out, and then you'll know that the water vaporized, evaporated into the air and turned into water vapor. It's still there. It didn't go away. It's just that the paper towel dried up and the water vapor is in the air. Okay, so that's kind of fun. All right. So we talked about also if you have a hot liquid, like hot chocolate, you can stick that right near someplace cold. You could walk outside and hold it in the air. You could see steam coming off. Steam sort of just disperses in the air. And let me go back to FaceTime camera because I got a balloon to kind of illustrate this. Whoa, I got a balloon. And so steam, let me see, blow up my balloon. So air takes up space, and there's a lot of moisture from my lungs and my body that is in the balloon that's inside that balloon. So I blew it up, but the balloon contains it into a shape, a nice round shape. But what happens when I let it go? Where does that air and the moisture, the vapor, the water vapor, where does that go? Does it have its own shape? Not anymore. It just went whoo into the air. And we can't see that. If this was warm and you stepped outside and did it in the air, you might see a little steam, a little fog. But that's the cool thing about water vapor. It doesn't really have a shape. It sort of disperses in the whole air around you. Okay, so now my favorite part of today's experiments is water as a solid. And we're gonna do that right now. That's the most fun because water can be a solid. It can be ice and I can skate, and it can be snow and I can go skiing. There's a lot of things. Oh, and I can make a snowman because it turns to a solid, chunky, 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 and I can make a snowman. So that's the most fun part of water being a solid. And we are going to, did I tell you to bring a pre-frozen block of ice with you today? Here's what I did. I have a big pan, and let's see, I'm gonna back up a little bit here so you can see it better. There we go. All right, I have a big pan, and I put some water in my juice container or my almond milk container, and I froze it. So ice as a solid takes up space, and it freezes and becomes the shape that you froze it in. So now I gotta rip it off. Oh man, this is, I might have to cut it off. I have to go get some scissors. I can't get my ice block out of my container. Maybe I should have done this ahead of time. But anyway, there it is. I have a big block of ice because I froze some water in my almond milk container overnight. Actually, for 2 nights. But you can do this too. You can put some sort of container that you know won't break and freeze some water, and it'll turn into the shape of your container. So how are you guys doing with your ice block? I'm having trouble. My ice block won't come out. I'm ripping and tearing. There we go. Almost. Almost. Boy, this ice block is stuck in here. I've got a really big ice block. There. Oh. It's stuck. There, finally. Oh my goodness. All right. So now I have a big ice block. Can you see my big ice block? And I also have, I froze a balloon just to see a different shape. And so water as a solid can be any shape. And I'm gonna release my balloon, release my ice out of the balloon too. Whoa, come on. Take the balloon off my ice block. It's not coming off. There. Finally, there, I'm tearing it. Look at that. My balloon, and look, water as a solid balloon chunk. So you can take any shape you want and freeze water into that shape. It's a solid. Woo, is that cold? I better put it down. There, so I have 2 shapes here. And I also did a silly thing. You guys had a rubber glove. I did a rubber glove too. Now, the other rubber glove that I had earlier was just kind of liquidy and gooey. This is a solid hand. And I could take that one off too, but I won't right now. Right now, I want to demonstrate something. If you have a little salt, we're gonna make sort of an art kind of experience by trying to melt this solid, these two solid blocks of ice. So salt creates a chemical reaction and starts to melt the solid ice. They put salt on roadways to try to melt ice so cars can travel better and safer. So I am pouring some salt on my ice blocks. And you can't really see the ice starting to melt on camera right now until we add some color. So some more of that color, probably food coloring, or I have liquid watercolor paint. And you can pour it on or drip it on or spoon it on. But I have a dripper and I'm going to put a little bit of color on my ice block. So this is kind of fun. You put a little bit of color on there and you can see where the salt has started to melt the ice. You can see little places where the salt has melted down into the ice, and you can see the trails that it made. So more salt. Ooh, more salt, more salt, more salt, more salt. And lots of more salt. And a little bit, I'm going to use my liquid watercolor. It's faster. There you go. Whoa, I'm going to hold that one up to the camera here in a minute. Because you can see where that ice has started to melt down into my block. Okay. Wow, check this out. Right. Whoa. Can you see where the salt has started to melt my block of ice slowly? And this one too. Whoa. All right. So you can work with that. And it's kind of fun. The more salt you put on, the more your solid ice will melt. And then when you start to put on the color, you can see the trails that the color is making down into your ice block. I'm going to use one more color. And we are almost done for today. Woo! There we go. Okay. So don't forget to check your paper towel later in the day and see if it dried up. How long do you think it will take to dry? Mine's still wet, so the experiment isn't over. Check it later. Check it after lunch and see if your paper towel is dry. And then keep checking on your ice, your big solid chunks of ice. Solid, liquid, woo, and vapor or gas. All right. So those are all of our experiments today. And you can do really silly things by freezing water and turning it into a solid like I did too. So if you think of something, you can show me what you did another time. So those are all our fun activities for today. And we hope you had some fun. And we'll see you again next time. Something I had never ever seen before. And here's where you get to make a choice. Was it a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex? And I'm just gonna stick some pine cones in my box, and then the fun starts. I just start rolling them around. Air rushing out of the balloon is going to push that balloon up. So let's see what happens. All right, 1, 2, 3. Oh, wow. So that's how rockets kind of work. We are going to build 2 different kinds of rockets today.
Wait,